Okay, we're going to be working on multiple event handlers. So, of course, my scene looks totally different from when you last saw it, but many things are the same. I have my camera here. I basically just put a bit of a hallway around it. I put a floor on here. I have a person standing down here. I think I actually have a witch in the forest over here. She's on a path of some kind. Now, paths are not something I think in the previous videos we talked about, but in the newer CoSpaces, if you click on Upload, if you click on Library and you click on Special, you actually have paths. You can have your character follow around. They're very easy to activate. All you do is you click on the path, you right click the path. I'll turn that on and you just click on code right here. You make sure it's turned on, of course. I also have to make sure my character, which is my witch right here, I make sure she is turned on. Yep, she is. And really simple. I mean, I'm just going to do this super fast right here, just to do a real quick one for you. I just, I can say when play clicked, transform and move. All it is the third one down, move witch on round path. So she'll just follow the path around and around. So that's a very simple piece of code that has been activated. I want you to recall from the last video that we had, I will remove this real quick so I don't confuse you, that we have our mice event trigger right here. So when camera collides with trigger 1, those mice fly across the floor. Now, if we want to use more than one trigger, this is not going to work because it will only call the most recent event trigger. So if I put another one down here, let's say I trigger snakes going across the floor, it will only do the snakes one. Because it will only do the most recent one, which would be the snakes one. So we have to do this a different way. So what I'm going to do is, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a second trigger. So you can see I think I have my first trigger. I don't know if it's there still actually. Let me just click on my three dots there and see if I can locate something called trigger 1. I can probably look it up here. TR, there it is, trigger 1. And trigger 1, actually no, trigger 1's still there. Trigger 1 is right there, you can see it. Now I'm going to create a second trigger. All I'm going to do is I'm just going to click on trigger 1, I'm going to duplicate it, and I'm just going to put another trigger over here, and I think I will make it a bit bigger. So I'm just going to make it right here, and I'm going to have this trigger activate this person to maybe turn and look at me. I don't know yet. We'll figure something out here. So we have trigger 1 here. We have our second trigger. Sorry, I'm just having trouble finding my trigger. My second trigger right here. And I'm actually going to, it's actually called trigger 2. I'm going to click code, and that is already turned on. That's great. Okay, so here we go. Click on my code. Now, here's where things get a little bit different. What I want to actually do is I am going to take out this little piece of code that is inside here where it says for each element in mice, this orange piece of code, and I just want you to stick it on the bottom right now. So it just sticks on the bottom of add mouse 3 to mice right there. Now this bottom piece of code is not going to work for us, so we're actually going to take it when camera collides with trigger 1, we're going to trash that piece of code, and we're going to pull in a new piece of code. So I'm going to click on events. I'm going to scroll down to collision, and that was the one we just used right there. We're going to be using this one. We're going to be using variables this time. So we're going to pull it out. We're going to kind of put it right there, and all I'm going to do to make this very easy is I'm going to drag that piece of code. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to grab my if block. So let's click under control. And let's go down to loops, and let's go to our if block, which is right here. Here's our if block. So we're going to drag it out, and we're going to say if. Okay, now we're just going to work on this block right here. So when witch collides with another item, okay, obviously we don't want it to be the witch, we want it to be the camera. So when camera collides with another item, if another item equals trigger 1, so we're saying if another item, right here, if another item equals trigger 1, we want something to happen. So If you're wondering where another item is, it is in your variables tab under data. So let's click data. There's another item. It appears right there. The reason why it appears there, obviously, is because you've pulled in another item right here. It's created a variable. So if another item, remember this is a bit tricky here. You want to get it inside the number one. See that? I have to be inside the number one there. So if another item, and I'm going to click on this little down tab and change it to equal. So if another item equals, and we want it to be trigger 1. So you're like, well, how do I find trigger 1? Where is it? Well, under items, this little blue box right here, you can scroll down a little bit. And if you scroll down far enough, it says get. And we want to get an item. So we're going to get, and we put that inside the 2 block there where it says number 2, and put that in there, so put that in the 2 block. If another item equals trigger 1, so trigger 1, if another item equals trigger 1, we want those mice to move. So I'm going to grab this one right here, this for each element in mice. This is what makes our mice move right here. I'm going to put it inside the if block, and you can see I'm hovering inside there. And there we go. Now, it's a bit hard to read, but basically it says if another item equals trigger 1, then the mice will move. This is the code that you created before. So let's try it out. Let's see if it actually works. So I'm going to click play, and I should walk over that trigger, and there they go. They are actually moving. Now, that looks horrible because there's a lot I could do to make that a lot better, but I'm just going to, it's the basic idea. And now my other triggers are right here somewhere. So I need to activate that trigger to make this person turn. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, there's 2 ways I could do this, I suppose. I'm going to do it by creating a whole nother if another item equals. So I'm going to click on my events tab, my control tab, and I'm going to scroll down to grab another if block. So I'm going to pull that out, and I'm going to attach it just below this if block. So you can see this if block is right here, and it comes down here, and it ends right there, and I've just attached this other if block below it. And I'm going to do exactly the same thing I did for this if block. So I'm going to go if another item, and if you recall, another item is right here. I'm just going to put that inside the number 1. If another item equals, you can see here's the equal sign there, equals. If another item equals, now here's where it changes. If another item equals trigger 2, we want to use trigger 2 now. So let's click on items and let's scroll down, and we're going to grab the get, and we're going to put that in 2. So if another item equals trigger 2, now there's trigger 2 is way down the bottom there. What do I want to happen? I want that guy to turn around. So I'm just going to go to the top, I'm going to go to transform, I'm going to go to turn, here's turn right here, and I'm going to turn, I don't know what his name is though. I don't know if it's probably regular man too. Turn regular man clockwise by 180 in 1 second. Sure, let's just see what that looks like. So I'm going to click play, I'm going to walk out, trigger 1 goes, those mice move, those weird looking mice, and trigger 2 should be right here, and there he goes. He turns 180. Actually, if I do it again, he should turn 180 again. See that? He keeps turning 180. Whoa, he actually turned a couple times there. He's doing some good rotations. And if I go back to my other trigger, the mice keep moving. So these triggers are really handy. You can put as many triggers down as you want. You could have it so when I walk up to him, I trigger 1 here, and then he like points and talks to me, and I walk up to the window, like if I walk up here, and there's another trigger here, and the witch comes right up to the window. To make another trigger, it'd be very easy to do. All you do is you can just take this block right here, this whole if block, and just duplicate it. You get a whole nother if block, and just change this to trigger 3 for your next trigger. And what you want trigger 3 to do, you just pop inside here. Okay, I'm just going to remove that. One other thing, obviously you do not want, and I'm going to zoom in, once they walk on the trigger, you want it to just trigger once. You don't want it triggering again and again and again, because it's going to be kind of weird. Because that guy could keep rotating, those mice could keep moving. I found one great way to remove the triggers is just to shoot them up in the air. So it's probably not a very elegant solution, but what you do is you grab a move block, for example here, I'm going to click move, and you want to move, once they walk on the trigger, you can move trigger 1, I don't know, 20 meters right, in 1 second, and that will remove the. It'll basically shoot the trigger away, and the trigger will just fly up the screen. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to put that down here, and I'm going to move trigger 2, right there, 20 meters right. Let's see if this is going to work. So I'm going to walk over trigger 1. It's going to activate it. The mice go. I'm going to try and walk over trigger 1 again. It's not there anymore. It's gone. Trigger 1 has disappeared off the scene. Now I'm going to walk over trigger 2. He turns, but you see I cannot activate it again because the trigger is basically shot off somewhere off the scene, so I've effectively gotten rid of the trigger. Okay, hopefully this is helpful, and triggers are amazing things because they allow you to make your scene interactive. So hopefully you can use this, and thanks for watching.